So in this video, I'm going to talk about a topic that I don't discuss a lot on this channel, and that is gear. Specifically, whether photography gear actually helps us create better photos. It's a very, very difficult topic. There's a lot of different perspectives, but I've been reflecting on my own photography recently, and I've had somewhat of a realization, and I've gained a perspective that I haven't really heard many people share here on YouTube. So I thought today I would just shed a bit of light on that, because it might be useful for someone out there to hear. Well, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a couple of weeks, and welcome to what is quickly becoming peak autumn here in North Wales. It has been, like I said, a really, really busy few weeks. I've had an awful lot of commercial work on, and that's been great. It's meant that I've been using my camera a lot, and I've also been doing a little bit of, I guess, like personal photography. I met up with my friend Scott Edwards, fellow YouTuber. We went over to Immersion National Park to go and chase some autumn colours, and that was really, really nice. And I have had spells of just little photo shoots here and there, but I just haven't really thought about making videos. I've just been wanting to concentrate on the photography. And concentrating on photography has, I guess, allowed me to have this epiphany when it comes to gear. Now, I think when it comes to photography gear, a lot of beginner photographers are kind of looking for a silver bullet, aren't they? They're looking for that one piece of equipment that is going to transform and revolutionize their photography. And that pursuit is sometimes important, because I do believe that gear plays an important part in the image making process, but it's not as big of a factor as I think a lot of people would make out that it is. When I switched to Lumix over a year ago now, I uncovered a camera, the Lumix S5 II, that I absolutely love. And the reason for, I guess, choosing this particular camera, and the reason that I was even looking at gear in the first place in terms of getting new gear, was because I was looking to solve a particular problem. And that's kind of what I want to talk about a little bit in this video, is what are the valid reasons for changing cameras? You know, what is going to give you better results? And what else might be contributing to progression in photography that perhaps gear can help with, but is not the, I guess, determining factor. And whilst we're here, because the colours are just absolutely beautiful, I'm also going to try and do some photography. Sounds like a good idea. Haven't traipsed this really heavy bag full of equipment all the way up this steep hillside for nothing. So let's walk and find some things to photograph whilst the light is still nice. It's a really lovely scene here. The light is just so nice at the moment, but there's a valley behind me, so it's definitely going to be fleeting, so I need to work quickly for this shot. I was using the 20-60 because there's this little cluster of silver birch trees, and I kind of feel like I need to be a little bit tighter than 60mm, so I'm putting the 85mm prime on, and hopefully I can just crop it in post with the aspect ratio to kind of get everything how I want it to look. But it's really nice. It's all about the light just catching the bark of the silver birch tree. Still got some leaves on it which are lovely and yellow, and there's this nice bracken which is dying off, which is adding some really nice colour to the bottom of the frame. So yeah, I think 85mm is looking quite nice, so I'll grab this photo and put it up on screen. Now, I'm coming at this from the perspective of a professional photographer, but I think anybody who's just looking to take their photography more seriously could benefit from the discussion in this video. Because firstly, the only motivator for me to even consider a new piece of gear, whether that's a camera, a lens, a drone, whatever it might be, the motivator is always because I want it to solve a problem that I'm currently facing with my video or my photography work. That was why I picked up this Lumix S5 II, because I've been doing an awful lot more video in my commercial work, and the Sony a7 III that I was using previously shot mainly in 1080p, and it only had 8-bit color. And if I wanted to shoot at higher frame rates, like 100 frames a second or 60 frames a second, I couldn't do that in 4K. And from a commercial standpoint, in terms of, I guess, acceptable quality and expected quality, I needed something that could handle that quality of image, I suppose. It wasn't because I was hoping that having this camera would change my skill set as a photographer, because just because a camera can shoot in 10-bit color and 4K resolution, the photographer still needs to have the skills to be able to utilize that functionality. Having this camera is not going to make me a better videographer. It's not going to help me with composition. It's not going to help me with story. It's not going to help me with lighting and narrative. All of that has to come from me. So that's why I think firstly it's important to realize that, I guess, are the shortcomings, and this might sound brutal, but I don't mean it to, but is the shortcoming that you're experiencing in your photography really coming from the camera, or is it coming from you as the photographer, because there's maybe a gap in your skill set that you maybe need to address first? And I think when mentioning people's motivators for actually acquiring gear, I do want to stress at this point that if you are the type of person that just wants gear because you're interested in gear, that is absolutely fine. I'm not saying that people shouldn't buy gear if that's something that interests you. This is more from the case of, if you want to improve your photography, is gear going to help you in the way that you think that it does? I'm not trying to be virtuous by saying you shouldn't buy gear. You should just focus on being a photographer and learn the gear that you have. I'm saying that there's room for everybody. Everybody's entitled to spend their hard-earned money however they want. But is gear that silver bullet? I'm not sure. Anyway, there's a really nice scene behind me, and I want to photograph it. Which actually brings me on to my next point about this camera. Something else that the Lumix S5 II did for me is that it gave me a camera that I actually really enjoyed using. And it's an argument that I hear quite a lot about, I guess, a justification for upgrading or changing camera systems, is because having a camera that you enjoy using will actually inspire you and motivate you to go out and use it. And that, I think, is 100% true. Definitely having a camera that is intuitive to you, that provides the results that you enjoy, that's ergonomic, that sort of ticks all of those boxes, will definitely, I guess, inspire you to go out more, because there's nothing worse than being out in the field taking photos or trying to take photos and feeling like your camera gets in the way. That's something that we should definitely avoid. But having that alone is not enough. Having a camera that you want to use is going to get you out taking photos. But what we photograph is really the most important thing. But as great as gear is, and as great as having a camera that you enjoy using is, really the only way that that camera is going to help you produce good images, and the only way that you'll really feel excited or enthusiastic about your images, or even just feeling like you're progressing, the only way that that is ever going to happen is if you put yourself in front of scenes and subjects that actually motivate you and inspire you to actually pick up the camera in the first place. I think that's something that isn't spoken about enough. It's all very well and good having the right lens and having the right camera, but really we need to be investing so much more of our time, our money, our efforts into finding the things that excite us, finding the things in the landscape or on the streets, wherever you do photography, Just finding the things that really spark your curiosity, your interest. Those scenes that just make you feel like you can't help but take a photo. Those are the things that are going to actually help you produce work that you're going to be really happy with. The camera is always just the conduit. It's never actually the answer. So if you're thinking about improving your photography and you're thinking, oh, is my camera the problem? Should I get a new camera? First, I just encourage you all to take a step back and just think, are the things that I'm photographing actually interesting me? Is that where the problem lies? Well, the light has gone and the rain has started, but I'll tell you what, it's been so nice to just be out with the camera. I mentioned in a video a few weeks ago that I always get a little bit jittery during the autumn because typically it passes me by and I feel like I don't always necessarily make the best of it. And as busy as I've been so far this autumn, and I'm grateful for that, being a professional photographer, any opportunity to work and be busy is something to be cherished and never to take for granted. But I'm glad that I've still managed to find little pockets of time, even if it's just an hour or two here and there. Like this afternoon, it's only been a couple of hours. This is a local spot for me, but I've just not been here before. And I've driven past it so many times. I've seen the silver birch trees on this hillside, and I've always thought to myself, wonder if you can actually get there and photograph these trees. And this afternoon, I have found out that you can. So I think, regardless of the photography today, it has been a success. I think any time that I'm out just basking in the beauty of this time of year, getting to look at the colours, getting to look at the trees, I just love it. I absolutely love it. Now, I mentioned at the start of this video that my priority over the last few weeks has been to pursue photography in a very solitary way, where the goal is literally to focus on the image making process and disregard everything else, whether that's making videos or recording podcasts or whatever it may be. And that immersion in the image making process is something that really brought this whole topic to light for me, because a really easy way to tell whether you're, I guess, like focusing on the right things when it comes to the things that interest you, that curiosity, the scenes that make you feel like you can't help but stop and take a photo. Really a good indicator to know whether you're on the right line with that is whether you're actually consciously thinking about your camera when you're using it. The last few outings I've had when I've just been so engrossed in what I'm doing, I've been just dumbfounded by the beauty of what it is I'm pointing my camera at, that I just didn't think about the camera at all. If we take the technicalities aside, yes, you know, if you want to shoot wildlife, you'll probably need a telephoto lens like a 100 to 400. There's no getting around things like that. But in terms of whether that's going to make your photos better, it's not the silver bullet. Really, you just want to be putting yourself in situations where you're just really enjoying what you're photographing. And I don't think enough weight is given to that in, I guess, like the realm of photography online. It's always about the tips and the tricks and the gear, but really we're not talking about what we're actually photographing. And I think investing in that and taking the time to research that as opposed to researching the next camera release, you know, I spend most of my time on Google Maps, on OS Maps, on Street View, just researching places that might light me up photographically, that might just give me that spark of inspiration and might produce some nice photos as a result. And that's why being in places like this at this time of year, I'm not thinking about gear. I'm not thinking about this camera, aside from just hitting the record button and making sure I'm in frame. I'm not thinking about the camera at all. And my photography has benefited a lot as a result of that over the last few weeks. Tell you what, the nights are drawing in. It's only 4:30 and the light is nearly gone, which is good because I'm nearly back at the car. So I will leave the video here for this week. As always, guys, thank you so much for sticking with me, for tuning into videos whilst I try not to fall down this ditch. This was probably the worst place that I could have decided to film this outro. And I know I'm not posting as frequently on YouTube, so therefore you're not necessarily getting as many updates from me, but I am still posting things on my various other platforms. I'm still sharing articles on Substack, on my publication Thoughtfully Framed, which just dives a little bit deeper into these sorts of topics. And I'm also releasing more podcast episodes, the Thoughtfully Framed podcast, which you can get on Spotify, Apple, all the links down in the description. But yeah, if you want to think about photography in a bit of a deeper way, then yeah, there's plenty of places that you can go to find out more about the other things that I do. So really good to see you all. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you all very soon. I am not done with autumn photography yet. I hope you're not either.